Inside Michigan Football is presented by Meyer. Hi again, friends, and welcome to another edition of Inside Michigan Football. Doug Karsch, John Jansen at the Big House, where Michigan, by 60 Saturday, defeated Central Michigan. Set to go into Big Ten play, and they're going in on a good note.
They are. They're going in on a high. A lot of confidence built up today. We all know it's going to get much stiffer competition when you get into Big Ten play on the road in Lincoln. Hopefully there's some lessons that they're taking from Norman to Lincoln, but this was a huge confidence booster that this team, every position group, needed.
It was good for the Michigan football soul, and Chip Lindsey, the offensive coordinator, implied during the week that they were going to do more with Bryce Underwood, and certainly in the pass game, there was an effort to get the ball downfield.
Yeah, there was, and I like the fact that they hit Andrew Marsh. They hit Goodwin. You hit tight ends. It's great to see Hogan Hansen back as a part of this game plan. To be able to spread the ball around, go from reads 1, 2, and 3, it just felt like he was very comfortable in the pocket, and it's just, again, you said good for the Michigan football soul. Being able to see some of those passes really helped.
And he put the ball in the area, and sometimes his receivers had to go make a play, which there's nothing wrong with that.
No, and I mean, so you go back to some of the lessons that we learned against Oklahoma. I'm going to share some of those today where, all right, you throw a ball up, and McCullough goes up and gets it in Oklahoma. Now all of a sudden the receivers are going, I can do that too. And we saw that today. We saw it with Hogan.
And Bryce, good on the run. He can really sling it when he's on the move.
He can. And I would still like some decisions of feeling when he's on the run, like he can set his feet to deliver. I think that's what happened on the interception. But again, it's another learning moment.
All right, let's go to Jansen Vision for a touchdown pass.
And I want to go back to last week's Oklahoma game where he missed Zach Marshall. And there's a lot of similarities in this where all of a sudden on this one here, this one's going to be the touchdown pass to Samaj. And all he's going to do is run out here. But you're going to get a little bit of pressure here. The best thing that he does, and that is being Bryce, is pressure here. All I got to do is lay that ball up, put a little air under it. But as I let it go, you're going to see what we saw with Zach Marshall. You got a safety drop in here, a corner dropping off here.
Last week at Oklahoma.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden, hey, this area, I'm just throwing the ball to this area. I'm going to let my receiver go and run underneath it. Great throw, great patience, great touch.
All right, Michigan defensively, they did some things differently on Saturday, and let's start with this defensive front here.
Yeah, and I thought this was great. You got Derek Moore over here. We expect to see him on the edge, but now they're lining Jay Sean up here. This is Ray Sean Benny. Normally we see him with his hand on the ground. It all of a sudden confuses this front here as to who they're going to block, and they end up blocking down here. Everybody slides to try and pick up Derek Moore, who's the known pass rusher, as well as they're not sure if Rayshon's going to hit here or here. So what happens is all of a sudden this ball is snapped, and who's got to come over to block Jay Sean? Running back's got to come all the way over. He can't make it fast enough, and he doesn't get a sack, but that throws the ball off, throws the timing off, and the Michigan defenders are there to make a play in the secondary.
What did you think of Jay Sean Barham on the edge?
I thought it was beautiful. Him and Cole Sullivan, to be able to have that length, that speed, that quickness, and one of the things I thought Jay Sean did really good was, hey, he's up the field, he cuts off everything that's going to go outside of him, but if that ball's run up inside, he retraces his steps and still makes a play.
All right, let's go to Jansen Vision. They talked about getting Bryce more involved with his feet, using his athleticism. Certainly a touchdown run was an example of this.
Yeah, and what you're going to see here is Channing Goodwin goes across. He's going to draw the attention of everybody over here. They got to take a step or two, and that's all Bryce needs. But I do want you to watch, as this play starts, watch Max Bredesen. Where he goes, chances are the ball is going to go, and it's going to look great. He does a great job of getting over here, sealing that linebacker, and then it's just off to the races with the guy that we've been waiting to see plays like that from.
Another player that we've been waiting to see and we've heard a lot about. It's always tough to break in freshmen, but here's a freshman to freshman combination.
Yeah, and this is Andrew Marsh. He's going to, when he starts this play, all right, all of a sudden, hey, fake the handoff in here, draw up some of these guys. He's going to come around, but I want you to watch an eye right here on Greg Crippen. As he starts to leak out here, he's going to get out here into open space, and that's not real comfortable for some of us big guys because those guys are much better athletes. But what he does is he puts his helmet on the inside there. So if this defender wants to beat him up here, we're gone. Doesn't matter. And he does a great job of beating a little guy out in the open field.
Talking to the defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, during the week, he really stressed tackling. And there were some examples last week where they just couldn't get John Mateer on the ground. They had him dead to rights, but this week, in this game, the tackling was much better. When they had a player, a chance to wrap him up, they'd wrap him up, including when they were getting blocked. I mean, there were some incredible plays.
Wide receiver screens have been a real challenge for this team. We've seen it now for a couple of weeks where they're able to fight through that block, have a defender on one arm, but make a play with another. And all you got to do at that point is hold up that ball carrier, and then all of the reinforcements are on their way.
Brandon Hillman had a 4th down stop. You had TJ Metcalf doing the same thing, fighting off a block and making a tackle. Cole Sullivan, a sticky tackler, that was present all day Saturday.
Yeah, and I love this. The more we see Cole Sullivan on the field, I think the more exciting this defense is going to be.
Also exciting, Michigan in the 2-minute drill. It's something they wanted to work on. We'll have that when we continue, and you'll hear from the acting head coach, Biff Poji, here on Inside Michigan Football.
We worked hard all week. We just really wanted to play for Coach Moore, play for Coach Poji, just play for ourselves, really, just get back on track.
Inside Michigan Football is brought to you by Meijer, presenting sponsor of the 2025 Michigan football season and proud supporter of hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest. And by Michigan Medicine. There's a difference between an answer and a Michigan answer. To find your Michigan answer, visit michigananswers.com.
Overall, just the work that we put in throughout the week, it really showed today. And like our coaches was saying, whenever we have clean weeks, we have clean games. So I really think that we just came out here and kind of showed everybody what we're capable of.
Today is going to show our identity. So today we came out, played hard, and we played for Coach Moore and just played aggressive the whole game. That's all Coach Wink talked about, was be aggressive, play physical, and make plays. So that's what we did.
Inside Michigan Football continues. John Jansen, we talked a lot about the pass game, the Bryce Underwood skill set earlier. Here's Bryce Underwood in a 2-minute drill. Now, this is something they haven't had a chance to do a lot of, but it's something they're going to need at some point. They use their timeouts, and they got the freshman quarterback a chance to see if he could lead him down the field.
Well, and Biff talked about the reason he called the timeout in the possession before was so that he would have that opportunity to see Bryce in that 2-minute drill. And I like the fact that Bryce was able to pick out guys on the sidelines. Guys were aware enough to catch the ball, get out of bounds, pick up first downs. And when he even scrambled, it was eyes downfield. I want to be able to throw the ball, but I'm going to get out of bounds, and I'm going to also pick up a first down. The clock management was there.
Yeah, even when the clock stopped, they hustled to the line of scrimmage. It felt like they were mimicking something that they were going to need at some point this year.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's going to be next week in Lincoln, Nebraska. I don't know if it's going to be in Wrigley Field against Northwestern. You never know when it's going to happen, but at some point, you're going to have that experience to draw from.
They went 11 plays and 79 yards and got a touchdown right before the half to take a big lead into the halftime locker room. Then at halftime, we talked about what we wanted to see in the second half. Much discussion was about the run game, and they did get it going.
They did, and it was absolutely beautiful. We saw double teams, and it was much better in the second half than it was in the first. And I know you're starting to wear down a defense, but that's what you have to do in the second half. And all of those 2-3 yard runs now become 7, 8, 10-yard runs.
So Bryce Underwood went over 100 yards rushing, and so did Justice Haynes, over 100 yards rushing.
Yeah, I mean, to have two guys, one of them your quarterback, it's been a long time, and I think it's something that Michigan fans are going to really be excited to get used to.
Things got moved around a little bit up front with Link, Afobe, Crippen, Guarnera, and Sprague. What did you make of their performance?
Again, I thought it was good. When I see these guys come off the ball, it's about, flat back and hat speed. What does that mean? Well, you're coming off with good bad level, you're putting your hat right down the middle of a guy, and you're doing it with quickness, force, suddenness, all of those things you hear offensive line coaches talk about. But the best thing about it is you're getting movement.
Let's go to Jansen Vision for a look at some of that run blocking.
And I want to highlight two guys here where you've got your center, Greg Crippen, and Jake Guarnera. Both of these guys do a great job on this double team, and I'm going to fast forward it here just a little bit. So all of a sudden, Jake Guarnera, he's giving a hand to a defender, giving Greg enough time to be able to catch up while he's got his eyes out here. So if you get a pinch like we saw last week against Oklahoma, if they're going to be moving guys around, I've got to be in position. He trusts it. Now all of a sudden, let's go a little bit further. He does such a good job that this defender is actually, if I could just do a quick one here, he's actually turned the opposite way because he pushed his shoulder. Now he's up here on the linebacker second level. Now I'd like to see a better block on the second level, but this is what gets you 7 yards down the field.
All right, and some depth chart guys got to play up front. You get into Caden Strayhorn, Blake Frazier, Ben Roebuck, Avery Gack, all getting a chance to get on the field. These are the kind of games that you're like banking reps for young players.
Because you never know when those guys are going to be called upon. I think Blake Frazier, we've seen him as the extra offensive lineman, so he's getting reps. The more you can get, the better off you're going to be. And if somebody goes down, who's the next guy up? Who's ready to go?
Bryson Cusdall earned the number 3 running back spot. He gave him some good yards on the ground. And how about the freshman Jasper Parker? This kid's got size, and you can see they might have found one out of Louisiana.
Yeah, he finally gets his first touchdown, and he is a guy that when you hear, just like I talked about Cole Sullivan early in the season, guys are starting to whisper, coaches are starting to talk. It's the same thing about Jasper. Everyone's starting to talk about how special he could be. 8
different ball carriers for Michigan in this game, 7 different pass catchers. On the defensive side, maybe the marquee play of the day was made by one of these young freshmen getting a chance to get some run, Elijah Dotson with an interception.
And we heard on the broadcast Jason Avant's reaction to it. And so, that's what happens as former players. We see something that is special, that's unique. Elijah Dotson, his interception, that's not a play you make as a receiver, let alone as a defensive back, to recognize that ball is thrown behind them, put the brakes on, be able to haul that ball in. It was a tremendous play.
Jordan Young got some run in the second year. Jaden Sanders is a freshman that we haven't had to call his name because he's not giving up receptions. Troy Bowles, a linebacker, Chase Taylor, a young linebacker, all getting in the game and making some plays.
And when you got guys that are banged up, I know we didn't see Zeke Berry today. You've got to have those young guys step in and be able to play at that same level.
Well, Wolverines get an impressive victory over Central Michigan. We'll have our Alro Steel Iron Man of the Week coming up here on Inside Michigan Football.
I was more excited when Bryce was scoring, when Justice scored, when Kuz scored. Like, that's what this offense is about. It's about being invested in the process and loving each other no matter what. And I'm just excited because this offense is getting closer and closer, and Chip is leading us to do amazing things.
It's time for our Alro Steel Iron Man of the Week. Here's Ed Kingerski.
Quarterback Bryce Underwood was sensational in his second career game at the Big House. The freshman signal caller accounted for 349 yards and 3 scores, showing every part of his game: arm, legs, and brain.
Throughout the entire week, we was focused on our self-development throughout the week, seeing what we could do better as a team. So that was our main focus.
How much do you guys talk about starting fast?
Every single day of practice, come out with energy, and that's the main focus. So.
What'd you like about the offense today?
Throughout this entire week of practice, we've been running every single play that we could to, have 100%, have a 100% knowledge of each play that we run. So it was throughout practice. So.
Your comfort and poise looks like it's been there all year, but it looked like you took it to another level today. Can you just talk about that and the flow you got into in this game today with Chip calling the plays and so forth?
I know everybody say, oh, he's a freshman, this and that, but having that is also my motivation to be the best me, stay focused, stay poised, and pay attention to every single play call that comes in. So, yeah.
Over 100 yards rushing. We saw Bryce Underwood throw the ball. We saw Bryce Underwood run the ball today. Can you talk about that dynamic and what that does for an offense to keep a defense off balance?
Just honestly who we are as a team. We're a bunch of dimensions, not only two-dimensional, but a bunch, honestly. So with that being said, I feel that we can dominate any way possible. So just me having that factor, just dominating that way. So.
I know you care deeply about your teammates. 7 guys scored today. Does that bring a little smile to your face?
Of course. As soon as Jaden Davis got in the game, that was probably the best moment of the night for me.
Underwood's 114 yards rushing were the most by a Michigan quarterback since Devin Gardner in 2013. Acting coach Biff Poji said, "I have a Labrador at home that could coach that guy. He's unbelievable." For Inside Michigan Football, I'm Ed Kingerski.
Thank you, Ed. Up next, we'll hear from the acting head coach of the Wolverines, Biff Poji, when we continue on Inside Michigan Football. Our conversation with the coach is brought to you by Meyer.
I know you're not new to head coaching, but I know how much you love this place, this program. What was it like for you to be the head coach today?
Well, John, first of all, it was heartbreaking because Sharon is like a son to me. I've got kids that's older than he is, and it was hard for everybody in the building and hard for me today. I think what you saw today, John, was honestly, the players love him so much that was 120 18 to 22-year-olds writing their head football coach a love letter. That's what that was.
Well, and of those kids, 88 of them got in the game. How special is it for you to be able to be a part of that many guys getting an opportunity?
It's a great joy. They, as you know, you've played so long. They work so hard, and the guys that maybe work the hardest are the scout team guys, and to get them reps and to develop depth. I thought we played great till we needed out. And to answer your question about this place, there's no place like this place.
Rushing the football. That was something I know that this offense wanted to get going. Not just Bryce, but rushing the football. 381 yards on the ground. How important is it to have that type of performance before you get to the Big Ten season?
It's critical because, as you know, you cannot win in this league unless you can stop the run and rush the ball. It's that simple.
How much did you see the ability of Bryce to not just throw the ball downfield, to be a threat running the ball? How much did that loosen it up for everyone else?
It was critical, and he is he's deadly with his legs and deadly with his arm. A defense can play perfectly, and this kid can break the pocket and get a first down and break your heart, because he just keeps extending drives, right? And he played very, very well.
Defensively, we saw a little bit of a different front with Jay Sean on the edge. How much did that change the look and the feel of this defense?
Wink is hilarious, by the way, and is a genius. I said to him, I was sat in one of his meetings, I said, wow, I love that package. He goes, yeah, I used that in 1992 against Indiana State. I was like, I loved it. So, yeah, we're moving number one around, and he's always got a creative plan, which is, I thought they played awesome. And I thought Chip Lindsey was dynamic today. You didn't know where the ball was coming from, where it was going. Both tempo and not. It was incredibly well done. But for a few instances, we played a really clean game. And I thought the drive at the end of the half, the reason I called that timeout there is because got a young quarterback. It's nice to get him a 2-minute drive before we get in a Big Ten, because you never know when he's going to need that.
Yep, and points always matter. And so let's talk a little bit more about Bryce. Was that the plan coming in today, to open up the offense a little bit more, put a little bit more on his plate?
Absolutely, yeah, because he's been asking for it, and he's ready for it. And Chip just felt like it was time to do that. Sharon felt very strongly about that. And, when we look back at Oklahoma, we kind of took the air out of it a little bit, and that's kind of not who we are.
What does the upcoming week look like, knowing that it's the first trip in the Big Ten season opens, but it's also, Coach was here up until Friday. This week he's not going to be. How does that change things for you guys this week?
Well, before he left, he mapped out a very strict schedule that he wants us to follow. So I would just answer it this way. He's Tiger Woods, and I'm his caddy. So I'll make sure the right clubs get played.
All right. Thanks, Coach, and congratulations again.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Straight ahead here on Inside Michigan Football, an old friend back as the honorary captain. That is next on Inside Michigan Football. Welcome back to Inside Michigan Football. Look at this. Our old friend Jim Brandstatter, honorary captain, had the opportunity to speak to the team on Friday night, then was out there with the banner. And watch this. For the first time since 1972, his senior year, Brandy touches the banner. He said he did. He said he got it with the fingernail. Congrats, Brandy. Great to have you back in the big house and down on the floor with the team. Brandy swore to us he touched the banner.
I don't think he did. I talked.
We should do Jansen Vision.
Yeah.
See with the finger.
That would be amazing.
Upon further review.
I think, yeah. And then evaluate his vertical.
Next week, Michigan is in Lincoln, Nebraska to open up the Big Ten. We'll recap that game right here on Inside Michigan Football. Inside Michigan Football is brought to you by Meyer, presenting sponsor of the 2025 Michigan football season. and proud supporter of hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest.